watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
Well, welcome back. Here's a look at some of the political headlines of the past week. Remember, we talked to Lubbock Senator Charles Perry on the show last week about the legal status of his Senate Bill 8 that requires that aborted or miscarried fetal remains be buried or cremated. And right on cue, part of the basis for that law was debated in federal court this week. Plaintiffs in the case say it's hard for them to find vendors to discard medical waste related to abortions, and the lawmaker makes it harder for them to do that. But attorneys defending the laws think it's a necessary step. The judge says a ruling on this could take a while, and the law has been temporarily blocked by the courts during this challenge. We'll leave most of the Trump-Russia debate to the national talking heads, but we thought it was important to include a couple of local comments about the president's post-Putin press conference. Lubbock Congressman Jody Arrington said he agreed with the U.S. intelligence community, but said, "I only wish the president's words would have been as strong as his actions in opposing Russian aggression." Arrington's Democratic opponent in November's election, Miguel Lavario, said in part that the president failed to stand up for American interests in the presence of a leader whose intelligence agencies attacked the very core of our democracy. Another construction project at the core of Lubbock's downtown area has been going for 1 year now. City Councilman Steve Massengale telling us the $64 million Citizens Tower project remains on budget, and it certainly looks better than it did. The elevator shaft, fire escapes have been installed, and you can see new glass on the outside of the building.
I think if you look at what it would cost to have built a similar size building brand new and what we're going to spend here, they're going to be very similar. If we can do that and salvage an iconic building in downtown and make it something that our citizens can be proud of for 50, 60 years, I think it's a good investment.
The project's finished in another year or so. This 50,000 square foot facility will be the headquarters for most city services, including things like LP&L and water and parks and recreation and all that. Congressman Arrington has been tapped to be one of those working to resolve the differences between the House and Senate plans to come up with a new farm bill. We'll talk about some of that next week. Mr. Arrington has also introduced legislation in memory of a Plainview High School classmate, a veteran, who took his own life after he left the service. Arrington's bill would devote more money to help veterans better adjust to civilian life. KMAX Anna Warnicki shows us.
He was strong, he was tough, and he was a warrior's warrior.
It's been a year, but Texas Republican Congressman Jody Arrington says he remembers every detail. His friend and classmate, Navy SEAL Chief Petty Officer Bill Mulder, took his own life.
I'm standing in Arlington Cemetery at his internment with his family, his 3 young children, and his wife.
Arrington says Mulder struggled adjusting to life at home after he left the service.
We didn't know. No one knew.
Arrington has introduced a bill in Mulder's honor. The Transition Improvement Act of 2018 would target active duty service members 1 year before they return home. It would also provide money for job training and connect them with support organizations within their community.
We are in crisis.
Texas Democrat Beto O'Rourke, a co-sponsor, says the bill would pair active duty soldiers with counselors to help them throughout their frequently difficult transition. According to the Department of Veterans Affairs, 20 veterans take their lives every single day.
It's going to literally save lives and give those lives greater purpose and function and ability to contribute to the greater success of this country.
We don't want to wait until they're homeless and until they're suicidal. We want to get with them on the front end and earlier.
Arrington says he hopes to bring the bill to the House floor in the next few weeks. In Washington, I'm Anna Warnicki.
All right, Anna, thank you. Hey, let's spend 5 good minutes with our friend Eric Washington, United States Marine, and these days the program coordinator for the Military and Veterans Program at Texas Tech. Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's our pleasure, as always. I would think it would be a huge relief for veterans to come to Texas Tech and know that there are people there ready to help. How do you actively recruit those folks and go find them?
Well, part of what we do is create a message and branding that's consistent with the kind of culture and atmosphere that we have on campus that we've worked diligently to create. What we refer to that as is kind of a military and veteran appreciative campus, which entails all kinds of different things. It's very comprehensive. It covers faculty and staff advocacy training and awareness training. It covers the actual implementation of the GI Bill programs that help to pay for these veterans' education benefits and their children whenever they decide to come to school. And we really just try to do all of this stuff together and then broadcast that as what we have on campus that's attractive to veterans when they get out of the service.
And then there's classwork, but you also help them get ready for life after graduation, too.
Sure, we do. We found, and referencing Congressman Arrington's new bill, that transition is probably the biggest sticking point for veterans, and they're moving out of the service and into the civilian life. And the university setting is a great atmosphere to kind of facilitate a successful transition, because they're coming into another somewhat familiar setting as far as being a bureaucracy and having structures in place. So we've found that if we catch them as soon as they get on campus and integrate them into our culture and kind of get them to meet other veterans coming in through a program that we call Tech Vet Boot Camp, it's a great way to get early on intervention in their transition, and then kind of pull them out of service and then into civilian life with some kind of structural things in place to help ease that transition.
Well, tell me more about the Tech Vet Boot Camp, because I know that's coming up. And I saw on some of your online stuff about it, there are folks coming from something called the Brain Performance Institute there to talk with folks. What's involved with that, too?
So the Brain Performance Institute is part of the Center for Brain Health out of UT Dallas, and they have grant money, and they've been doing this with us for about 3 years now. So our Tech Vet Boot Camp is really twofold. They're half of the program. They come out and they do what they call SMART training, which is a cognitive reasoning training that they've shown actually increases brain function. It's very helpful for anyone, and veterans especially, that have traumatic brain injuries or also PTS, and it helps with those kind of things, as well as just increasing brain function for higher education. So that's half of the program, which we're very proud of, and we think is unique, and nowhere else in the country offers anything quite like that for veterans. The other half is kind of a resource pool of all the resources that already exist on campus at Texas Tech. So we have all kinds of departments that are dedicated to helping with study, helping with integration, helping disability services if that's something that they need. All those resources come out as well and present during that 2-day seminar that includes, you know, all the meals and everything. We have them there for 2 days, and it's the 2 days prior to the start of the term.
Wow.
So it's right before they get started in class. They're already kind of eased in. They get to know all the other veterans in their cohort that are coming in the same semester. It kind of works as a great way to do what we kind of do for traditional students when they're freshmen coming in, but to do that specifically for veterans has been very successful.
There are a lot of benefits, I know, available as well for veterans through the Hazelwood Act and other programs. Do you find that folks are aware of those things coming in, or do you really have to help them with all that?
So for the Veteran Affairs benefits, the GI Bill, those things tend to be kind of harped upon while you're in the service, and definitely during your transition out through your transition assistance programs that the branches do and the commands do. Now, the Hazelwood Act is a state benefit. So if you're stationed in Texas, then it's something that you may be aware of. If you're stationed anywhere else and you're from Texas, you may not be aware of it. There's just, there's more and more effort going into letting Texas veterans know about this benefit, but it actually is pretty rare that somebody comes in from anywhere outside of Texas and is aware of that, and especially aware of the fact that they can transfer that to their children.
You know, there's a lot of talk about the need for constant counseling availability for these folks. Do you provide that? Do you point them in the right directions? How does that work?
We're not trained counselors, so we don't provide counseling in our office, but what we do is we can
just help them find the
right, exactly. Folks, we'll point them in the right direction. There's lots of resources here in town. The university has career counseling center, or counseling center. Out in town, we have the Vet Center, which is a great place for counseling. Of course, the VA clinic offers counseling as well. There's really resources all around. We're just kind of a conglomerate of all that information, all those resources, and we can help get them in the right place.
Final few seconds we have here. How do veterans find you guys on campus to get started with all this?
We're in Drain Hall, room 147, right across from the sub. You can find us online at mvp.ttu.edu. You give us a call, shoot us an email. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over the place. So any way you can find us, hopefully we're there, and we'd be happy to help any veterans transition out of the service.
He's Eric Washington. He knows exactly what he's doing. They're doing magnificent work at Texas Tech on all this stuff, and great stuff for our veterans and kids coming back and doing things, getting them into life and college. Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Thanks for having me on.
Good to talk about this kind of stuff. Straight ahead. Unexpected passing of the former Lubbock City Councilman. He taught us all a little bit about what it means to give back to a community that's given a lot to you. Remembering our friend David Nelson. Next on Talking Points.